This video is for the 5-4 notes. So if we go back and look at 5-3, we are learning how to solve systems of equations by substitution. So to substitute means to plug something in for something else. So step 1, which is circled here, we did not have to do that on page 5-3, but we are going to have to do that now on 5-4. So if you do not have an x equals or a y equals, you have to make that happen first. So if we go and look at number 5, when you look at all of your equations, what you hope is that you have either a x or a y that's already by itself, meaning they have a coefficient of 1. So that y is going to be the easiest to solve for. So essentially we just need to move the 2x over to that side, and we do that by subtracting. So that equation becomes y equals -2 minus 2x. Now you could have written it as -2x minus 2. It doesn't matter. You just need to make sure that you have a -2 and a -2x. So now that I have that, I'm going to erase that. Now we are going to plug this into the bottom y. We don't want to plug it back into the top one because that's what we solved. So I'm going to do that over here. 5x plus 3 parentheses, -2 minus 2x equals -8. So after you solve the top one for y, it's going to be exactly what we did on page 5-3. Plug a new expression in for one of the variables and then solve. So to solve, we have to distribute the 3, so that becomes -6 minus 6x equals -8. Combine your like terms. 5 minus 1 gives us -x minus 6 equals -8. So then I need to add 6 to both sides. So I have the opposite of x equals -2. So then I need to divide by -1 and get x equals 2. So now that I have x, I now need to find y. So what you need to do is you can plug it into any of the equations. It's going to be easiest to plug it in right there because it says y equals, and your job is to figure out what your y is equal to. So y equals -2 minus 2 times 2. So you're plugging this 2 that you figured out for x into the x. So that would be -2 minus 4, which gives us -6. Remember, all of our answers need to be ordered pairs. So 2, -6 is your ordered pair. Again, you would want to plug that into both of your original equations. So you're going to plug 2 in for x and -6 in for y to make sure you actually get the same answer. So you would do 2 times 2 plus -6, and that would give you -2. Then you have to do 5 times 2 plus 3 times -6 and make sure that equals -8. When we look at number 6, you can see that the bottom y would be easiest to get by itself. So to do that, you're going to move the 2x over. So if you want to show that you're subtracting 2x, you can, or you can just go ahead and say y equals 9 minus 2x. So if you can visualize moving it over to the other side without having to show the subtraction, that is fine. So now I need to plug 9 minus 2x into the top equation for y. When you rewrite it, 2x minus 3, don't forget your parentheses, 9 minus 2x goes in parentheses, equals -11. When you distribute, you have to remember you're distributing -3. So that becomes -27, but then plus 6x. -3 and a -2x gives us plus 6x. Equals -11. Now I am going to do the next 2 steps in 1 step. If you're not comfortable doing that yet, that's fine. I'll go back and do all the steps on the next one, but you can combine your like terms. That would give us 8x. So those of you, helps you to cross them out because you're putting them together. At the same time, then you could add 27. So up above, I did that in 2 steps. I combined my like terms to get that, rewrote it, then I showed I was adding 6. If you feel comfortable, you can combine your like terms with the x's and move your plain number over to the other side all at once. So that gives us 8x equals 16, divide, and we get x equals 2 again. No, your x is not always going to be 2. Sometimes it just happens that way. So now we have 2. Again, you need to plug that back in. You can plug it in anywhere, but that's the easiest spot. So y equals 9 minus 2 times 2. 9 minus 4 is 5. So our ordered pair for our answer is 2, 5. Again, I'm not going to do it for all of them, but it is a good idea to plug that in to both of your equations, original equations and number 6, and make sure those equations are true. All right, for number 7, you're going to want to move the top y over to this side. To give myself a little more room, I'm going to write it underneath. So x equals 4 minus 5y. To move it over to the other side, I would subtract it. So now I'm plugging this. Here's where you have to be careful in for x. You need to make sure you plug it in for the correct variable. So 3 parentheses 4 minus 5y plus 15y equals negative 1. So again, just making sure you know to get one of the variables by itself and then plug that into the other equation is the hardest part. And then you, after that's just distributing, combining like terms, and solving. So this becomes 12 minus 15y plus 15y is equal to negative 1. So I'm going to show you 2 options. If all you do is combine your like terms, negative 15y plus 15y, those are gone. It's 0y, which is just 0. What you would write is 12 equals negative 1. That is a false statement, so there are no solutions. Your answer is no solutions. So again, you can write out no solutions, or you can put a 0 with a slash through it. If you would have done what I consider the shortcut, where you combine your like terms, and if I subtracted 12 at the same time, I would get 0 equals negative 13, which is also false. So remember, if a variable cancels out, if your variables go away, if you have a true statement, it's infinitely many solutions. If it's a false statement, it's no solutions. So you can write no solutions or put the 0 with the slash through it. Number 8, it's going to be easiest to get the top x by itself, so move that over. This one's going to look a little bit weird. X equals, you don't need to put 0 minus 4y, you can just put negative 4y. So negative 4y needs to go in place of the x. So 3 times negative 4y plus 2y is equal to 20. So that gives me negative 12y plus 2y is equal to 20. So negative 10y, when I combine my like terms, is equal to 20. Divide by negative 10, and I get y equals negative 2. So now we're going to want to plug that back in right here. X equals negative 4 times negative 2, which is positive 8. When you write your ordered pair, it's very easy to get them mixed around. Since you got negative 2 first, you want to write that first. But remember, your ordered pairs have to go x, y. So we need to do 8, comma, negative 2. Number 9, the bottom y is the easiest to get by itself. So to move that to the other side, you would subtract it. So y equals 18 minus 2x. So we need to plug 18 minus 2x in for the top y. 6x plus 3 parentheses 18 minus 2x is equal to 54. So 6x plus 54 minus 6x is equal to 54. So again, I'm going to show you two things. If all you do is combine your like terms, they cancel out. So your statement would say 54 equals 54. That is true, so you would have infinitely many solutions. So up here in number 7, this was false. I didn't write false. You don't have to write true and false. So there was no solutions. This one's true, so there are infinitely many solutions. If you combined and subtracted at the same time, it would say 0 equals 0, which is also true. So that's how you would get infinitely many solutions. For 10, our top x is going to be the easiest to get by itself, so we need to move the 3y over. So x equals negative 2 plus 3y. You would have to add 3y to both sides. So that needs to go in place of this x. 10 parentheses negative 2 plus 3y plus 8y equals negative 20. Distribute gives me negative 20 plus 30y plus 8y equals negative 20. Here's where you have to be careful. If you combine, you have 38y. If you add 20 at the same time, you get 0. So I have a lot of people that think this means no solutions. Your variable did not cancel out. You still have a variable. So if you divide both sides by 38 like we normally would, 0 divided by anything is just 0. So 0 is a possible answer for one of your variables. Then we plug that back in. X equals negative 2 plus 3 times 0. Well, that's just negative 2. So your ordered pair, remember your x goes first, negative 2, and then 0. Number 11 is our trickiest one. The reason is you don't have a positive 1 in front of the y. You have a negative 1. So if you move your 3x over, it's going to say negative y equals negative 8 minus 3x. But you need to get it to be positive y. So you need to go through and divide everything by negative 1 to give you 8 plus 3x. So if you see a minus sign, that means you're going to have to go through and divide everything by negative 1. Now I can plug that back in for the bottom y. So 5x plus 2 parentheses 8 plus 3x is equal to 5. So distribute 5x plus 16 plus 6x equals 5. Combine your like terms, that gives you 11x. Subtract 16, that gives you negative 11. So if you know that that's just negative 1, you don't need to show your division. But we do get x equals negative 1. Plug that back in. Y equals 8 plus 3 times negative 1, because that's what we saw for x, and we get 5. So negative 1, 5 is your answer for number 11. So again, if you don't have a variable that's already by itself, the first thing you need to do is change an equation so you do have a variable by itself. Then you plug your expression into the other one and continue solving.